Welcome to the weekly Q&A with Dr. Gray. During this show, Dr. Gray will take questions from the audience and answer them for you. Please share this out with all of your friends and family across all social media platforms. And now, let's welcome Dr. Gray.
Hey everybody, welcome to Question and Answers. And today's big question is, John, would you tell us about your new book? The new book has launched today in Kindle at Amazon, and it will be available. I know people are just coming in, but I just want you to be aware that you can get it today at Amazon, reduced price, $2.99 for a Kindle version to go right onto your phone. I'm looking at it right here with my phone, and I'm very excited. I'm very happy about it. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus, for women only. And the sub-theme is Be Happy With or Without a Man. And if you want to have a successful relationship with a man, you have to first learn how to be happy within yourself, so that at times when he's not available to you, you don't feel anxious, you don't feel needy, you don't feel upset, but you understand that when men pull away, they come back. And there's a lot more to it than just understanding that, but that's the foundation. And so I focus a lot on how men and women's hormones are different. You hear me talk about it all the time, and how essential it is for women to be in relationships that stimulate bonding hormones. And particularly women, when they're in a relationship with other women, they will produce a lot of oxytocin, which helps to lower their stress. But for oxytocin to actually lower their stress, they also need ample supplies of estrogen, and that fluctuates throughout the month. And a relationship with a man or someone you depend upon, it could be that as well, for a little devotion or service, however you want to look at it, that raises your estrogen even more. So for women, as they're cycling through their monthly, hi Helena, and hi everybody, and go here for the Kindle, great, and that link is there. That's fantastic. We'll put that in the comments. But this amazing dynamic, what I show in the book, is you get certain needs met from a woman, a girlfriend, friends, not from men at all. Your brain is different when you talk to a man versus you talk to a woman. And when a man is listening to you, as long as he's not too far on his female side, he's like a girlfriend, what will happen is he gives you a different kind of support that will potentially double your estrogen levels, which increase the bonding, lower stress at a time of the month when you really need that. And that's the idea, is that as you move towards ovulation in your cycle as a woman, as you move towards ovulation, your body requires you to make more estrogen. Already reading the new book. Thank you, Ava. Yeah, we're already on the bestseller list. So everybody get in there. Let's get to the top of the list, and that will be fantastic. If everybody can order today, you also get a discount on the book, $2.99 for the Kindle version. And I'm looking at it in the first chapter. I'm going to go through the chapters today, see how far we can go. But this chapter is Be Happy With or Without a Man. And that's so, so important, because you have to learn to have the foundation of hormonal balance in your life. Then when you have that foundation, then interaction with a man can easily raise your estrogen and double it at a time when your body says it needs to double. And that's those 5 days before ovulation. If you're not getting that sort of support, which a man can be very good at, what happens then is your estrogen levels don't rise up as much. And you'll end up later in the cycle, could be having period pains and PMS. Various problems can happen because there's a need that you have as your estrogen levels go higher. Because what estrogen makes you aware of is what you're missing or what you have. And if you have a man in your life at that time, that's when you will feel the most love. That's when your relationship will be recharged for the next 28 days. But if you don't get that recharge of those 5 days towards ovulation from a man's support, which is a different kind of support than the support a woman can give. If you don't get it, then for the whole next cycle, for 28 days, you will feel something's missing. Something's missing. It's as if you missed a good night's sleep, and you'll feel the next day for a few days, you'll drag a bit because you didn't get enough sleep, and your body will eventually adjust. So you get a chance to rebuild this, but you don't want to miss the clock. Hey, Kaylor, thanks for joining us. And I'm looking forward to the book. Order it now, but we'll go through it now. It's so much fun to read this book. It's breezy, it's smooth. The first chapter is called Be Happy With or Without a Man. And those that follow me, you've heard me talk about this, that one of the biggest problems in relationships between men and women is that when women are unhappy, they blame their partner. And if a woman is unhappy, there's no room for a partner's support to enter into her. See, women are the gatekeepers. If you're not open to receiving, a man cannot give to you. And the only way he can receive your love is if you take the risk or have the skills that you learn in this book, how to be vulnerable, how to open up to the man in your life so he can penetrate in, and you let him know what you need. And so it's all about learning the languaging, how to let a man know what you need. That's called asking for help, asking for support, in a way that doesn't make him feel like he's failed. This is such a challenge for both men and women, because women often think, and I've just come back. Yesterday, I returned from Saudi Arabia, where for 35 years, Men Are From Mars is in the number 1 or 2 slot. The bookseller came to me that said, your book is still number 1 or number 2. People love me there because in that culture, it's now mandated that women are now coming into the workplace. Finally, women have their own licenses. They can drive their cars. They can leave the country without their husband's approval. And so they're going to face all the problems we have too, because very quickly, the divorce rate is dramatically increasing. As soon as women become more independent, divorce increases. And I explain why. And so many people, I mean, literally hundreds of people, I was giving an event there for our Mars Venus coaches. It was for a coaching conference. Coaching has become very popular in the Middle East. And we have our Mars Venus coaches. And so I was giving a presentation for the coaches on how to apply the gender intelligence, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, to both relationships and business relationships, because we don't stop being men and women in the workplace. The differences still exist there. Let's see, how do you let a man know that you're only practicing with him without hurting his feelings? Do we just say, I'm not looking for anything serious right now? This is someone, thank you, Mosun, someone who's heard me comment on this, which is that if you are dating, one of the big ideas, and I'll come back to chapter 1, but I like your questions very much. This is our question and answer day. But when you're dating, one of my pieces of advice is, if you're not ready to get in a serious relationship, then just let a man know. Men are cool with that. Just say, hey, I've broken up from a relationship. I'm still healing from that, or I'm not yet ready. I'm getting myself back into balance in my life. But I'm looking forward to going on a date. A man shows you interest and so forth. Then we see what happens. You're not leading him on then. Just be upfront about it, and it's no problem. And you can say, this will be a big turn on to any man. You basically say, I've made mistakes in relationships and I'm trying out. I'm practicing new skills. I'm trying to be more accepting and trusting and vulnerable in my relationship. And be patient with me because I might make some mistakes. I'm in a learning stage. But when I make a mistake, I apologize, because what I've learned is in my past relationships, when I look at what went wrong, I was a big part of that, and I can make those changes. You can't make a change and get a different result in your life. Let me turn that around. If you want a different result in your life and your relationships, how's that going to happen? You have to make the change. That's why I've written this book to women only. Because women are the ones who read more of my books. Women are the ones who come for counseling more. Women are the ones who read books more. And yet they read the books and you describe relationships, and women are thinking, well, he has to read it. He has to change to make it better. And the good news, in most cases, all you have to do is make the change, be the change you want him to be. And this is, a good slogan for life. And it's something in my life as well. I feel I'm responsible to be a leader in relationships, so I have to have the best relationship in the world. And maybe I do. Uh, I don't want to tell you all the details of it, but uh, it's quite spectacular. Having said all that, there's other people with loving relationships and so forth. But God has graced me with a lot of challenges. You know, my relationship with Bonnie of 24 years, and we were together almost 40 years, back and forth. Then we got married. I went through all the basic challenges, and with the help of my wife, Bonnie, and the love she gave me, I was able to be transformed as a man. I saw how powerful a woman, when she apologizes, when she can make a change within herself, a man will make a change within himself. And that we will explore through this book. Your great power as women is men will mirror your changes. So when you open your heart, he opens his heart. You close your heart, he closes his heart. And you're walking around going, well, how can I open my heart if he doesn't open his heart? Well, he doesn't need to open his heart. What he needs to do is take action, which doesn't necessarily mean he feels that much. He takes the actions that you require that would open your heart. And God made it so that men are naturally motivated in the beginning of relationships to do things to win you over. God gave us the hormone testosterone, which gives us well-being. And when we have a goal, if he's interested in you, there's a chemistry that motivates him. He takes action in the beginning. That begins to open your heart like a flower. But once your heart is starting to open, his heart begins to open. His heart only follows your opening heart. But the grace is that God makes men have a stronger sexual attraction to women than women's sexual attraction to men in the beginning. I also go into a later book. There's 6 books I've written, but when women feel strong sexual attraction to a man before he earns your love, that's a symptom of daddy issues, and you have to learn how to process that because you keep getting turned on to the wrong men. I do explore that to some extent in this book. Much later, we'll get to that. But the bottom line is that men have this strong sexual attraction, which motivates them. It creates testosterone goes up, dopamine goes up. So he'll do things, but that's temporary. That will not last. That's the newness that's stimulated in the beginning due to sexual attraction, due to high dopamine levels, which in turn raise his testosterone, which motivates him. But for a man, every man, that motivation will lessen. It has to lessen. It's how we're designed to be. It's called habituation. When something is new and different, we get a spike of dopamine. It's pleasure, it's motivation, it's passion, it's joy, it's our dreams are coming true. This is for women and men, the newness that stimulates us. But for men, the dopamine in the brain is different than for women. Men have to have big change, or big newness, or sexual newness in order to stimulate high levels of dopamine. Women don't need high levels. Women are overstimulated all the time because there's so much change in our lives today. Women are way more stressed because there's so much change. And when there's change, when there's newness, when there's new challenges and so forth, rather than routine, women stimulate high levels of dopamine, which is why women will be overwhelmed. They will tend to do, I have to do this and this and this. Their motivation dramatically increases. Men's motivation goes down unless you have the skills, which you'll learn in this book, understanding men in so many different ways that you never even thought of. And we'll get to some of that. But learning how to ask for help. When you ask for help, it turns on it like lights up. It lights up something in a man's brain. I remember once as an image of this lighting up was as a policeman in one of my classes. And I was explaining what happens when you have high dopamine stimulation, like a fireman or a policeman. They have life in danger. That's a big shift. That's danger. And after a while, that what used to be exciting is no longer exciting. And he was saying, and I said, the thrill is gone. And he goes, yeah, that's a perfect experience that I have as a policeman. The thrill is gone. I used to sit there on the highway waiting for a speeder, and I'd turn on my lights and boom, I'm off. That thrill. It was such a thrill. But after repeating that for a few years, there's no excitement. And that's because it's no longer new and different. It's excitement. You've got to do something. The alarm bells go off. The house is on fire. Let me go put it out. But after a while, that bell rings. It's boring. It's no longer as exciting. This is the way men are designed. And we're designed new and different stimulates. Women, new and different stimulates. You like to put on different outfits. You like to go new and different places. You have all kinds of new and different emotions and feelings and reactions and so forth. All of this stimulates dopamine. So for her, it doesn't take a lot of external stimulation to get that high dopamine. But once dopamine goes to really high levels, then habituation sets in, and now life becomes boring and flat. And that's what happens in relationships. It doesn't have to happen. You can sustain that passion for a lifetime. And that's what I promise you with this book. It's amazing. And it all is done by women without having to change a man. He will change as you change your approach to him. I mean, think about it as simple as, let's say I do a job and it pays a certain amount of money, and suddenly that job pays me double. It's going to excite me, right? Well, I figured out how women don't need double. They just need lots of little things that will keep new and different little things. And we'll get into that. That will keep her dopamine stimulated, which allows her heart to open to him, lowers her stress, and he takes credit for that because you've asked for help. But learning how to ask for help is a big deal. So thank you for Gazelle. Let's see what you're saying here. Why is it that some men pull away? It's only because they're enjoying their time with another woman who is giving him attention. Is that him having an ego problem? Let me go through this again. Why is it that when some men pull away, it's only because they're enjoying their time with another woman? Rarely does a man pull away because he's enjoying his time with another woman. He pulls away because of the hormone changes in a relationship. And I'll explain it a little bit. A man pulls away not because there's another woman. A man pulls away and then another woman he enjoys talking to or whatever he's doing with her. It's that he is disconnected from his partner. Now, this is a big subject. It's not fully addressed in this book. It will be in a series of 6 books. One of the books in the series is What to Do and Not Do When Men Pull Away. There's so many reasons that I explain why men can pull away in a relationship that have nothing to do with another woman. That's just a symptom of what happens afterwards if he disconnects from her. But most simply put, if you have sex with a guy on a first date and you're just all excited, or let's say either you're all excited, which means you have father issues because he hadn't even done anything for you. You're in a fantasy world. You're imagining, what if this guy fell in love with you? That's not healthy. That's a sign of low self-esteem. And I deal how to solve that problem, whether it be in therapy or just behavioral changes. And I'm not going to go into that today, but to know that men, when they get close to you, and sex is the closest way you can go, you go into her, your hormones dramatically change. A huge amount of oxytocin gets produced in both men and women, which causes bonding, but it also, oxytocin, lowers stress for women. It feels really good for men, but it also lowers his testosterone. So when men's testosterone goes down, he can't connect with a woman. When his testosterone is low, it's coming down because his estrogen is too high. He just connected with her. The female hormone goes way up in here. Anything that feels blissful is female. It's your female energy. So I'm in total bliss. I'm in my female energy. And if having sex with her raised my female energy, which it will do when you love a woman, or you just love how it feels to have sex. Because remember, this is a first one night stand. He doesn't know who you are. He's just experiencing you the first time, and it's sexual. He doesn't know your heart. He doesn't know your thinking. He doesn't know your feeling. He hasn't fulfilled your needs. He's not yet devoted to you. All that stuff is missing. So he gets a huge surge of estrogen, bonds with you on a sexual level, and then he releases his energy, so there's no attraction at all temporarily. And he doesn't have any connection with you in his heart, in his mind, and time, and taking you on dates and doing things. So there's no attachment in real life. There's just attachment from that 2 minutes in the bedroom. and his testosterone crashes. He pulls away. And while he's pulling away, he doesn't have a relationship to pull him back. Instead, some other woman, new and different, will stimulate him. And he could easily just lose interest in you, find interest in somebody else. And paradoxically, the way a man actually bonds with you over time is first, he connects with you because you connect with him. First, you connect with him by admiring his thinking, conversation, spending time together. You see his character, you see his qualities, you see his confidence, you feel trust, you feel more accepting of this guy. It takes time. You can't just, oh, I believe I'm madly in love with him right away. Well, that may be true. He may have all those qualities, but you got to let yourself experience the reality in present time, not the fantasy. And then he does things that open your heart and you feel safe with him. Then when you have sex with him, he connects, he'll still pull away somewhat, but what builds the relationship is that he still knows you and he can spring back to you, as opposed to he hasn't yet bonded with your heart and with your mind. So that's the wisdom of going slow. People knew this for thousands of years. If you want to create marriage, if you want to create family, if you want a society that is civilized society where children grow up with their mother and father, with the values of their parents and not the values of some crazy school teacher, or the most dysfunctional kid on the playground, 8 hours away from your parents. Never happened before. Your children can't develop in the presence of other children with dysfunctional kids on the playground and teachers who basically have no values that you share. And that's happening more and more now. Usually they're single, not all, but usually they're single. They're not happily married. They're getting their fulfillment just by being teachers, which is nice. They're good people, but it's not what I want my children hanging out with. I want the people who guide my children, particularly since they're going to be away from me for hours, to have my values. That's a whole other problem. I wrote about that in my book, Children Are From Heaven. Because if you want your children to have your values, since you're sending them away and you're not homeschooling, which I highly recommend homeschooling, but if you want to send your children to school, make sure when they come home that you have good communication with your children, which can instill your values in them. Most kids come home, the parents say, how was your day? They say, good, fine, okay, and there's no connection. They're lost. And then, unfortunately, you send them to universities, and then they become completely confused sexually, because they teach in the universities that there's no difference between men and women. You can just choose your sex. This idiotic message out there. Anyway, so biologically, we stick to biology here. Men are biologically different. Women are biologically different. And that's what creates the attraction. If we honor that biology, people who don't honor that biology are not attracted to the opposite sex. If you have more masculinity and she has more femininity, you can experience this attraction and this bonding. Then you have not only bonding, but when a man bonds with a woman, it's very different than when two women love each other or they're friends with each other. Men will give their life for women. It was one of my moments in one of my talks. I was just in Saudi Arabia, giving my audience, and there's always these moments where everybody just cracks up and starts clapping, sometimes stand up because it's such a good point, and I built it up. And I basically pointed out, women, you have no idea of the potential a man has to love you. We're designed to give our life for women. If you love a man the way he needs to be loved, if you make him your hero, he will die for you. So that's in my book. I talk about that and how to uplift a man so he will kneel before you. He will want to help you. He will be devoted to you. Women don't have that part of their brain activated. They don't have it. They've seen it in brain scans. The selflessness in men, the devotion inside of men, which you can activate, and only a woman can activate it. So when he is, so what I said was, so when you love a man the way I'm suggesting, you make him your hero, he will die for you. And if you don't do it, he'll die because of you. I can't say so many men who die younger because they don't have a woman in their life. This is true. They have their heart attacks. They don't have a loving relationship. The evidence is in men who are engaged in long-term relationships and committed relationships do live longer, and they are happier. And this is a general rule in the research. Certainly there's exceptions to everything, but the reality is that men live longer if they feel like they're fulfilling their partners. And if they don't have a woman's love, they will die earlier. You see, women can get love and support and lower their stress through their relationship with their children, relationship with their community, teaching kids in school, whatever it is, having her job, running a company, having friends, whatever her things are. A woman can experience a reduction in stress. But if you want to go to happier state, which is symbolized in the orgasmic experience that women can have through making love with a man, that lasting orgasmic experience is potential for every woman. But a man has to have the skills, and a woman has to learn how to communicate her needs in a way that a man can hear. And of course, that's a big challenge. And in Saudi Arabia, working with the women there, the big challenge was all within them. They said, well, I shouldn't have to ask. If I have to ask for help, it means he doesn't love me. And that's because of two things. One, in the beginning, You didn't have to ask. He was doing stuff for you, but the motivation will go away unless he's motivated through learning how to ask, learning how to reward. The same thing for my job. If nobody came to my talks, I didn't get the reward of having you guys listen to me and share this with other people and buy my book. Why would I do this? It's fulfilling to me because I know I'm helping people. And please do take this moment to like this and to also share this, all that stuff, so more people can learn about this amazing book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, Be Happy With or Without a Man. And of course, people always say, are you saying people shouldn't have relationships? I said, no, we need women need relationships and can be happy. And when you learn to be happy without a man, then it's so easy to have a successful relationship with a man. Then his job is not to make you happy, but to make you happier. This is an adult relationship. And this first chapter 1, I'll get to your question in a moment, Ava. Well, I guess I'll make a break here. In your book, you're talking about estrogen and oxytocin, and that when a woman is stressed and she cannot depend on others or a man, she goes to her male side and protects herself. And oxytocin alone cannot lower her stress. Well, she won't be making oxytocin if she's doing it alone. See, whenever you do anything alone, your estrogen goes down, and oxytocin doesn't work if your estrogen is low. Everything about oxytocin is relationship. It's reaching out and giving to someone and getting back. It's the anticipation of getting back that keeps your estrogen up. Oxytocin is actually just, well, they say oxytocin when you feel safe. Well, it tells your body you're safe if you make oxytocin, but you make oxytocin when you're stressed and you see a situation where you can get support. So oxytocin motivates you to reach out and create relationships, which is what women do. Oh, bring the question back. And women reach out because they anticipate getting what they need. They go to someone. But when they anticipate getting what they need from a man and they communicate in such a way that will shut him down because they're blaming him or giving him the message that he's not good enough, when that happens, he basically shuts down and you don't get back what you thought you were going to get. So that's like, hey, I thought I was going to get this. I gave and I didn't get back. And then your stress goes up again. So just oxytocin is not the remedy. It's oxytocin plus estrogen. Oxytocin is you have to feel your vulnerability and you have to feel the support coming in. So how can she best stimulate her estrogen by herself? In that case, to get back into balance. So she's read the book. She sees that you got to have estrogen as well. And estrogen is not just produced by relationships with men. It's produced anywhere in your life where you feel you have help. So you ask for help. So I have one client and she's in menopause and she's producing the hormone estrone, no longer making estradiol, which, by the way, you can continue to make estradiol either using the techniques in this book. And I explain how older women can make young women's hormones, or you can go to a good doctor and get hormone support and take estradiol. That's showing now to be the case that it's safe. And in some cases, there's some research studies said that for women over menopause who are getting estradiol, the right balance from a doctor, that actually reduces their risk of cancer. That's what's coming out. But regardless, my expertise is without taking hormones. How do you make the hormones? And automatically, when you go through menopause, your body stops automatically making estradiol because you can't make babies. And it's estradiol that makes you want to be in a relationship with a man, have sex, and make babies. It's all very biological. You just lose the attraction to men if you have low estradiol. And so what happens at menopause is that your body can't make estradiol, so it has a backup system, which is estrone. It's basically saying, well, if I don't have a man in my life, I can feel self-sufficient. So estrone says, I don't need anything. I've got what I need. And that's kind of what my book is all about, is women finding the foundation of, I can be happy without a man, but guess what? I can be happier with a man. And when you learn how to be happier with a man, not looking to him for everything, but how to be happier with a man, then your body will once again, even at 70 years old, start producing estradiol, which most 70-year-old women do not make. And that's why 90% of women have osteoporosis, because you need estradiol for strong bones. That being one example. Also for depression and anxiety, estradiol helps calm the brain. It's when your estradiol goes up naturally before ovulation. I was talking about that in the beginning of the talk. If it says, estradiol says, I need help, I need support, I need love. And from a man. Okay, so you can hire someone, and that what this woman was experiencing in menopause is she was finding that she was really enjoying the presence of workers. So she was hiring workers to come to her house, and with the awareness that I was teaching her, is able to experience the vulnerability of depending on men. And even if you have to pay for them as workers, not sexually though, it's different. When you open yourself up sexually, you need to have a man who's truly devoted to you. Otherwise, when his testosterone goes down afterwards, you will feel the anxious attachment. You will feel abandoned. You will feel unhappy, and all women do after sex. When men pull away, if they're not in a committed relationship, they may cover it up by overeating or whatever, but it's an empty experience for her. Because you open up, you have to receive. You have to receive. And what you receive, what you need to receive, if you fully open your heart, is devotion from a man. And it turns out that when a man loves a woman, is committed to her, he makes a different hormone than other men. Men are walking around without this special hormone, which I talk about in this book. Is called prolactin. Now, prolactin, which you create which gets released after making love to a woman you're committed to. If a man has sex with a woman and he's not committed to her, he doesn't make a lot of prolactin, and it goes away very quickly. You make 5 times more if you're in a committed relationship. Prolactin is what holds couples together. It's a hormone that keeps them from being interested in other women. So, if you just have a one-night stand, he's still going to be interested in other women. You got to make prolactin for a man to truly bond with you. The way a woman bonds with oxytocin, prolactin helps him to bond for a lifetime with you. But it takes a while of commitment and experience for that devotion to start to be activated in a man's brain. And devotion is something that mothers will have for their children, but not for their man. When a woman starts to feel, I have to take care of my husband like I would take care of my children, all sexual attraction goes away and resentment will build. You never want to put a man in a situation where he's like a child. But women do this all the time unknowingly, simply by not asking for help. You see, you're not supposed to ask your children like really need their help. You're there to help them. And in a relationship, is your feeling is my husband needs my help. You'll start giving to him more than he's giving to you. You can help your husband, but it has to be only if he's giving more to you. So you're responding back. You're giving to him as a response. And what does that response look like? It looks like when a man's doing things for you, it helps you come back to your female side. And what the experience of being an authentic woman is a woman who's happy, a woman who feels love, a woman who feels forgiveness, a woman who feels accountability, a woman who doesn't feel like a victim. Anytime you're feeling like a victim, you're on your male side. Anytime you're overwhelmed, you're on your male side. Because when women go to their male side, see, when I'm on my male side, I'm not a victim at all. But when women go to their victim side, it's that they're denying their true self. Their true self is assured that I'm lovable. I don't have to earn love. I don't have to do anything. I deserve love. And so if you're not in that place of feeling happy and joyful and fulfilled, then you're experiencing stress, a hormonal imbalance. And whenever women are experiencing stress, they're going to have negative emotions. When you have negative emotions, you're still a woman, of course. But if you look at her hormones, she's making more testosterone and less estrogen. So the whole idea in this book is how to use men to raise your estrogen. Now let's take the opposite case. Let's say you're a woman and you work really hard at just being happy all the time so that you don't feel I need a man's love to become happier. And you're with a man, but you're not feeling I need his help. You don't need his help. You don't need his support. You don't need him to listen to you. You don't need his companionship. You're cool all by yourself. And a lot of men go, wow, that's great. The perfect woman, she's never going to be unhappy with me. Well, she's happy, but she doesn't need you. See, every woman at a vulnerable level, with estrogen levels go up, it will tell your brain, I need more. And if you don't get more, the consequence of that is I'm going to feel I'm doing it all myself. And ironically, when women feel I do everything myself, they're stressed. You can measure their stress hormones. They're making more male hormones and less female hormones. When women are making an abundance of female hormones and they have some testosterone going, you need both, they're having an orgasm. That's what an orgasm is. And on the way to orgasm is sexual attraction and a desire to have a man in your life, but not overly dependent on a man in your life. So the whole point of this chapter 1 is exploring all of the importance of needing a man, but not being overly dependent on a man. You have to find a balance. So Ruth, thanks so much for joining me. Be sure to share other people. Let them know about the new book. Hopefully you can go online and get it. It's $2.99. I'm so excited. This is the big day. I launched the book today because this is my wife's birthday. My wife, who passed 7 years ago. But always I celebrate her birthday. And so the book launch is coming out. It's January 20th. 2026. So very excited about this coming out to everybody. It's a work of, every book for every author is a passion, a love, and I'm just so happy to have it out there. So Ruth has asked the question, do you give examples in your book on how to ask? I don't have very good examples on how to ask to a man. Most of the women in my family are very in their masculine and they don't ask. See, the masculine side says, I don't need any help. I can do it myself. The feminine side says, I can do it myself, but also I feel better if we do it together. We're a team, we collaborate, we cooperate, we support each other. It's interdependence. It's not total dependence. And part of the interdependence is I have a need and I have a male side to ask for what I need. If I'm not getting what I need, I have the skill, I have the talent, I have the confidence to go out there and find who can give me what I need. That's your male side that takes proactivity, that makes sure I get what I need. But the part of me that needs love, that needs someone to care about me, to prioritize me, to be devoted to me, to support me, to hear me, to help me, to understand what I'm going through, to be by my side. That's the role of a man, and to understand the role of a man. So there's a whole chapter we'll get to later on what can you get from a man and what can you not get from a man that you need to get from your life. And think of men as just dessert, they're the extra. It used to be that men are survival, and so when a woman, to the extent a woman can survive without a man, which is what's happened in America, a woman can survive without a man because our government will take care of you to some extent. I mean, there's so many unhappy women who just have babies to get money from the government. They're not dependent on a man. They're dependent upon this dysfunctional central government that doesn't love you at all. It controls you, etc. So you have no love in your life. Your children grow up without love in their life. The mother has to feel loved by a man for the child to grow up and feel healthy, because in every child there's a father and there's a mother. It's within both. And when a woman doesn't love the man, the little boy doesn't feel loved either. He's just part of his father. A little girl doesn't learn that you can trust a man. So Ruth, this is such a great question. This book, there's a whole two chapters on, you build up the understanding of men and then the actual techniques of how to give to the man the opportunity to give to you. See, stop giving to a man, instead give men the opportunity to give to you. And it's the art of asking for support. How to do it. What are the words? What are the words that are turn off? What won't work for him? And yes, I give examples of it, chapters on it, skills on it. And basically, you're learning how to train. Well, first of all, you have to overcome this hurdle that I was just talking about. And I was just in Saudi Arabia, where talking with women, and some women will say, okay, I know you say I have to ask for help, but I can't ask. Now you're pointing out, Ruth, you never saw it. Your mother didn't do it. That's because traditionally women didn't have to ask for men anything. Men knew what to do. All your job was to provide and protect her. That was it. And a woman wouldn't pick a man if he didn't already know that. That was her primary need. That's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is that at a base level, and this is our history, you go to a man for survival and security. And now when you don't need a man for survival and security, what do you need a man for? Women have to understand, what do I need from him? And men have to understand why women need men. And understanding it is one thing, but nothing happens in his biology till he experiences. He has to experience a woman needing his help. Now, if a male is fortunate, I was fortunate, which has have a high self-esteem, a lot of love and support. I can receive it quite a bit. Because when I was a little boy, my parents stayed together. My dad was a good provider. My mother could ask for nothing more. She was content. She was happy. They had sex. They had 7 children. Life was wonderful because she didn't have to ask for anything from him. They didn't argue and fight. They're no different. It was so much easier when a woman is feeling, I need somebody to make money for me. I need somebody to be here to manage these 6 boys, to help me. And that's all he had to do. So she was feeling the need, and he was providing that need with no problem. He could do that. So she was completely fulfilled, and her her heart could open. And because her heart could be open, because she was getting what she needed, he mirrored that and was also could feel his love for her. That's all women need to feel, is a man's love for her, to feel connected. But men cannot connect with love unless you connect with love first. Ladies first. It's always the case. That's why men open the door for you, so that you can appreciate him and then he can feel more love for you. This is a dynamic. This is biological. This is the correct balance between masculine energy and feminine energy. It's amazing. So there's a little bit more she's saying, but I want to finish my point, which is, so women have no training on it, but then there's this big obstacle inside of women, which it's hard to ask, because it's like, why should I have to ask? I do stuff for you. You don't have to ask me. And it's like, I feel like I'm a beggar or something. I feel like, you don't love me, because if you love me, you would automatically do things for me. I wouldn't have to ask. I wouldn't have to motivate you. Well, you do. This is the biology of men and women. Our dopamine centers are completely different. I show the research for that. What's great about this book, it's in a series of 6 books. This is the one where I'm putting all the research in. Afterwards, I'm just going to give my ideas based on the research in this book. But one of the interesting things are, when I was working on all the references for all my ideas, is science shows us in our brain that women's dopamine receptors are more sensitive, which means that they're affected more by problems. They see more problems. They're upset by problems. They're also affected more by love and support. So they can be happy with just bringing her some flowers and she'll be happy, in some cases. So it's little things that make a big difference when it comes to estrogen. When it comes to testosterone, it's got to be big stuff and new stuff and everything. We need a lot more stimulation to come alive. But then when we depend on that high stimulation and we get it, this is called becoming a drug addict, because drugs will produce this high stimulation. Then your brain changes and becomes even more desensitized. And unless something is new and different, you don't feel attraction. This is why a man can be attracted to somebody he doesn't love. Just a new and different woman online, which just destroys his soul. To give his energy to someone who doesn't love him, to give his energy to someone who's just on a computer. And soon men are going to be having sex with robots. It's completely, it's possession of the devil is what it is. It's you disconnect from your soul. It's soulless. To have sex with somebody who doesn't love you, that's one level. Another one is sex with their computer, which is what people are doing with porn, which is like, my wife cured me of that right away. Back in the day before computers, but we had TVs and they started having porn videos. And I thought, everybody's doing this. I'll put the porn video on. I said, let's watch this, honey. We watched it. My wife was not turned on at all. She said, this is so boring to me. I want to make love with you, not these people. And this is because she had very healthy self-esteem. For a woman, when she feels balanced in her true self, she's turned on when somebody is romantic to her, when somebody's devoted to her, when somebody fulfills her needs, when it's personal. But when you have low self-esteem, then your everything reverses. And, like women fall in love with dangerous men and get all turned on with dangerous men. And then you can have therapies called S&M, where you only can get turned on if somebody's whipping you or dangerous to you. All this stuff is just twisting things around to try to stimulate the hormones of passion. And so what you have even in South America, I was giving a class one time, and I was talking about how men can make love to women, creating safety and doing foreplay and respecting her and doing things for her, helping her in life. And the person stood up, and there's 500 people in an audience. And the person said, I don't remember if it was a woman. And she says, but John, this is the opposite of what we're taught. It's macho that turns a woman on. He slaps you around a bit and then you get turned on. And this is 500 people. Nobody got upset with her. They're all going, yeah. Now, I can't say everybody in South America is that way. It was Colombia. But that was the idea, is that you have to be macho and sort of threatening and make it unsafe for a woman. And that will turn on a woman with low self-esteem. If you have self-esteem and somebody's dangerous, you'll walk out of the room right away. You're not turned on at all. But when you have daddy issues, which is daddy wasn't available, and you're wounded by that, then there's a certain part of you, or your mother has daddy issues or husband issues where she doesn't feel safe with a man, then you grow up not feeling safe with a man. Well, guess what? When a man is not safe, it stimulates high dopamine, and it also stimulates high estrogen temporarily. So what women will experience is they'll experience being turned on, because although they're not safe, dopamine goes so high. Dopamine will produce high estrogen if she also feels she's in control of the situation. And so when she has danger and she feels by being sexually compliant to this man, I will control him, which these women feel I can control him. He's like a big beast, but I can control him with my sexuality. Because it is true for many of these guys, after sex, they're just like little girls, they just soften and open up. And so she feels this power to control him like a big horse. Women love horses, riding the horse, you can guide the horse. It's all a big sex turn on with these dangerous men. But the flip side of that is when a man can provide safety, and a woman has to have self-esteem enough to feel I deserve and I need love and support. To feel that need for love and support and safety, you have to have a sense of self-esteem that I deserve it. But if you don't deserve it, already you're in a state of anxiety. So if I give sex, then I deserve it. So then your estrogen goes up. But it's a fake, it's a backdoor way to experience sexual arousal. What we want is healthy sexual arousal. Same thing for men. Men can't get turned on to their wives, but they'll go online to a new and different woman, and that will raise their testosterone. Dopamine levels will go up, their testosterone goes up, and so he can get turned on, feel fully alive and excited for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, done. And his soul is weakened. It's literally, the vibrancy of a man, the hormonal balance, ultimately is to have the skills to create lasting love and passion with your partner. It's, and most men, as they're going down at 50 years old, 60 years old, they're losing their sexual drive. They don't have that passion, particularly if they're married. If they get a divorce, they'll get a rekindling for a little while because now they're alone. If you're alone and you're independent, it's up to you. Your testosterone will go up and suddenly you feel sexually attracted to women again. But it will go away pretty fast because you haven't really developed the discipline necessary to sustain testosterone. And I talk about that and not in this book, but I explain it for women to understand. And one of the great things about this book is for women only, but men can read it and men can learn about themselves, and women can also learn about men. But what allows me as a man at, 74 years old, to have healthy testosterone levels 50% higher than when I was a young man. It just went up for me. But for most men, it just goes down, and interest in sex and attraction, all that goes away. I couldn't do it alone without a partner. I know that when Bonnie died, my testosterone crashed. There's no doubt about it. But then after 2 years of grieving and whatever, it came back, got married, and right away it's back to what it was with Bonnie, which is 50% higher than when I was a young man. That's the hormone that needs to be high for a man to experience passion with his partner. When testosterone goes down in a man, as he's aging, he can get bursts of testosterone and erections by using non-personal relationships, which is new and different. But it empties his soul. It empties his soul. You're giving your life force. You're loving someone who doesn't love you. When a man is turned on, this is the amazing thing. It's all in this book. But when a man is turned on to a woman, his mirror neurons in the brain open up. The only other time women have mirror neurons allow you to feel what other people feel. So you open up, you can have connection with others. Men don't, their mirror neurons don't open up unless he's in the presence of someone who needs his help and is not blaming him. So when a man has children, that's a good thing to keep his heart open, because it opens his mirror neurons, and the love that the children have for him will touch his heart. But the other place where a man's mirror neurons open up is when he's devoted to a woman, and her heart opens enough to feel vulnerable. You see, if a man's not devoted for a woman, she can't really be vulnerable to him that much. So and I explain how to do that in my new book, For Women Only, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, but how to be vulnerable in the presence of a man. Her vulnerability opens his mirror neurons. And when she's being vulnerable and he does something for her, she then appreciates him. And when she appreciates him and his mirror neurons are open, then he's able to receive your love and be transformed by it. That's how men are transformed by women. It's love that transforms us. It's devoted behavior that helps a woman feel safe. She then opens her heart. And because he's done something to open her heart, his mirror neurons open up. Now, this has all been verified in science that men's mirror neurons are closed most of the time, unless it's helping children or someone in need, or with their wife, when she asks for help, his mirror neurons open. He feels more love to her then. And when he makes love to her, that's the time when his mirror neurons open the most. And this is when she's feeling open, receptive, and vulnerable and loving him. He receives that love and he's charged by it. His body produces prolactin, which frees him from wanting to stray and look for another woman. It's all biological. It makes him bond with her, to stay with her and love her. And it has to be recharged. It doesn't last that long. So you have to have this. And for her as well, I mentioned that particularly around the time of ovulation, if she does not get that charge, then she always has the whole, until she gets back to 24 days or 28 days. So she gets back to the time where she can get that high level of estrogen. She's going to feel like, I didn't get a full night's sleep. I didn't get what I'm missing. There'll always be not enough. Because after ovulation, a woman her estrogen goes down. Biologically, she doesn't need as much from a man. She needs to make more progesterone, and progesterone gets produced. She still needs to make estrogen. Okay, it still has to be there, but she needs to make more progesterone. So PMS, premenstrual syndrome, and depression and anxiety and irritability and unhappiness and breast tenderness and period pains and all that comes from not enough progesterone, balanced with estrogen in the right balance for her. So she needs help and support, but she needs more the support that produces progesterone. And progesterone, that gets produced when you're doing things you love to do, that you like to do, not out of obligation. Anything you do out of obligation that you have to do, that will produce testosterone. And yes, you have to produce testosterone. But if you don't balance that with things that you love to do without obligation, that would be social bonding or taking time for yourself. My daughter Lauren has a whole course on this, which I don't go into all those details in for women only. We go to at marsvenus.com. We have two courses for women only that my daughter does that we wrote together. She wrote them. I edited them with them. It took a year for each one. It was like writing a book, but they're all like video modules and question and answers and all those things. One is called Understanding Men, and the one that talks about all the different cycles and hormones for women at different times of the month. That one is called How to Get Your Me Time, the Me Time, You Time, We Time system. Because see, for many women, they tend to be too much over giving to others and not knowing how to balance that with time for themselves to make progesterone. And they have to balance progesterone with estrogen, because towards ovulation, your estrogen levels have to be higher. And after your period, that's when your testosterone tends to go highest, and then has to come back down. And if it stays higher, then you're going to not make as much estrogen. So all of that, it's a little complicated. So we have a whole course to understand the stages and how to get support at every stage so that you can be happy. I do cover that to some extent in this book, which is for women only, because you have to know how to get the support you need at different stages of your cycling, and also after cycling, how you can continue to produce the hormones of a young woman without even having to take hormones. And although that is an option for people as well, it used to be people were afraid of taking hormones because they said that if you have certain genes, it makes you more vulnerable to breast cancer. But then they found that if you take hormones from a doctor recommending it, you will, obviously you're going to have less stress because your hormones will be more balanced. So anyway, that's all explained in the book. It's lots of great information on that. So yes. Yeah. So I've got Ruth's question. My editor's producer just whispered in my ear that let's remind everybody to share this out so people can know the book's available. This is the most important of my talks, to let other people know to say yes, you like it, and also to send it to others. It'd be really great. And I appreciate it a lot. I know they will appreciate it a lot. So Ruth says, I'm a single mom and my kids are going away from college soon. Now, Ruth had just asked a question about, do I talk about how to ask for support and get it? Yes. And also, I was just explaining to women that it is a big hurdle for you to overcome. Why should I have to ask? Because he didn't have to ask me. And one of the ways to help you psychologically is to realize you just don't understand men. If you understood men, then you would know that if you asked a man for help and he said, no, I don't want to help you, okay, then that means he doesn't love you. But if you ask a man for help and he says yes, because he said yes, that means he loves you. Okay, so just hold that in your balance, because when men don't love women, I'll give you an example of that. I was talking to one man and he's got a very awful relationship, and I said, you're gonna have to learn how to make it safe for your wife to talk. Women need to talk about their feelings and what's going on in order for their estrogen levels to go up and their stress to go down, and you just don't understand that. And how long do I have to ask? And listen, I said, well, in the beginning, you have to listen a little longer, but once she starts feeling heard, 10 minutes is about all it takes. And he says, well, what if I don't want to? And I said, then you're not going to have a successful relationship. Well, I don't want to. Well, then forget it. You're never going to have sex. and so this guy just doesn't love his wife. But I have to be kind with him. For most men, they often don't want to listen because they don't know how important it is for women to talk. He thinks it's a waste of time because it's a waste of time for him. But if he can understand how women are different, then he realizes it won't be a waste of time. But telling a man that doesn't do anything. He has to experience it and be told. And so that means I have exercises in here where women talk with men. It's called a Venus talk, where you talk for 10 minutes, where he's instructed. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to do anything. And what I'm sharing has nothing to do with you. You're not the bad guy. You're the good guy because you're listening, and you don't have to do anything. I just need to have your presence. And men do not know that their presence is a gift to women. It anchors them in present time because their mind is in the past and in the future. They're worrying about the future. They're remembering what happened. And have him listen, just being in this moment. But you have to tell him, don't try to solve anything. Because if he starts solving things, then his mirror neurons close. But if you tell him you don't have to solve anything, just listen and I'll feel better, because he knows you told him you're going to feel better, he will start to have his mirror neurons open because he feels she needs me, but I don't need to solve it. I can provide just my presence. And when he experiences that makes you feel better, now it becomes easier next time to listen. Now it becomes easier next time to listen. And men begin to experience some amazing idea that I learned from my wife by my experience of making her happy by doing very little things. Men cannot imagine how easy it is to help a woman become happier. They think we have to do big things, because to get her to marry you, you have to have big things. You have to have a job. You have to do stuff. But after that she habituates. What she needs to keep going on to keep the passion alive is the little things, and the communication are so, so important. And men don't know that. How will they know that? Not just by reading my book, by a woman letting him know by her experience that when he did this, it makes me feel happy, and knowing how to communicate that. Okay, so that's to get over the hurdle of thinking, why should I have to ask? Let's put Ruth's question up there again, if you would. Hey, Sergeant Tom, reposted the stream. Thank you so much. I appreciate that a lot. Let's come back to Ruth's question. I didn't read it. It was about something. We'll get to that question. So I'm a single mom, which already is a highly stressful job. Every single mom has to know that. You weren't designed to make a baby and raise a baby without a man. And you weren't designed to send your kids off to school as well. You were designed for millions of years. You stay with your child until they're grown up, and then you start pulling away from them. But so after already we realize we're going out of our design. It causes stress. So I'm a single mom and my kids are going away from college. Well, that's good. This is beyond that stage. And I would like to find a partner after 13 years of being single. What would you recommend for me? Well, you've got the book. You've got the book, Learning How to Process Your Emotions. The first thing you have to realize is that what you did is you made your children more important than you. So you put you off for 13 years. That's okay. So now you have to come back to making you really important. And the way you connect with your authentic self, not your nurturing of your children's self. See, women wear many hats. You have to come back to the part of you that's missing a man in your life. And there's a journey there, because when you're missing a man in your life, the emotional response, see, estrogen goes up when you feel emotions, and particularly happy emotions or negative emotions, doesn't matter. If you're feeling negative emotions and you journal them or you share them with a coach or a therapist or a good friend, and you're not complaining about that good friend, when you share emotions without complaining about the person who's listening, your brain will, first of all, your body will make huge amounts of estrogen. Your stress will go down. That's why therapy is so important. That's why coaching is so important for women. It's important for men too, because we have a female side. If we're in cortisol level, coaching can be very good. If we're not in cortisol, we don't need it. But if women are even in moderate stress, they have 3 times more blood flow goes to the emotional part of the brain, and it gets suppressed if you're in the workplace and whatever, and you don't have somebody to talk to. So it gets suppressed. So there's a lot of suppression that goes on. Excuse me. A lot of suppression of emotions goes on that disconnects you from your authentic self. Your authentic self, it's not that your authentic self is negative. It's just that your authentic self reacts to negative situations, particularly the negative thought forms in your brain. When you think thoughts that are not positive, that aren't true, your body will react with negative emotions. If I think the thought that I'm going to fail, then my body will experience fear. Why do I feel fear? Because my brain's telling me you're going to fail. Well, if my brain wasn't telling me I'm going to fail, because I don't really know for sure I'm going to fail, you never know what the future is going to be, but you think you do. So if you believe your negative thoughts, you will have negative emotions. So that's your soul, your authentic self, having those negative emotions to tell your brain that your thinking is wrong. And so anyway, having to be a single mother, you have to care for your children, you have to survive, you have to make money. All these things just suppress your emotions. So now it's time to find a man. So you're going to have a lot of anxiety and trepidation, maybe. But the doorway is to come back to your authentic self, to be attracted to men again. Maybe what will happen is that you'll have to feel sad for a while. You'll have to realize what you've been missing. You'll have to feel disappointment that you don't have a man. You'll get back in touch with the disappointment of your husband that you left and why that was a failure. Your fear of getting involved again. Your anger and frustration that your partner didn't fulfill your needs and you have to do everything yourself. There's a lot of feelings that will start coming up as you make this journey. A lot of women at this point just say, I'm going to stay single. I'm not going to look for another man. And that's called their comfort zone of suppressing emotion. And then you won't feel attraction to men, or you'll be attracted to the wrong men to make you feel those feelings of disappointment and discouragement and fear. All that will, your soul says, we gotta process those emotions. So either you'll be attracted to the wrong man to make you feel those negative emotions again from your previous marriage, or you'll process it. And this is what this book is, a whole chapter on really the foundation of, we talked earlier about asking for what you want. If you ask for what you want from a point of view of you're unhappy with your partner and you're blaming them and you're angry with them, or you're feeling hurt by them, or you're feeling mistrust of them, if you ask a man to do something with any of those emotions, he will resist. You will not get what you want. He can't, because basically negative emotions are saying, I don't trust you. How can anybody, you come to me and say, I can't trust you. I say, well, go find somebody you can trust. I can't help you. I remember one lady coming to my office. I saw mistrust all over her. Somebody told her, John's great. You should go see her. You're messed up. So she came in really like this to prove that I couldn't help her. That's how some people are. So I felt her mistrust. I just said, how can I help you? And she said, I don't know if you can. I said, okay, well, when you feel like you can, come back. I can't help you if you don't trust me. You got a wall up. So the whole dynamic is, and I know in relationships, men disappoint women, and then you go into mistrust. How do you come back to an open heart again? It's a big problem. Well, I solved that problem in this book. I teach you how to process your negative emotions so that you don't have this dangerous feeling of, how can I trust this person? It's simply, the guy made a mistake. It's no big deal. It's like, I'm not going to be hurt by him. He's not going to hurt me. But what happens is when your hormones are out of balance, you go into cortisol response. When you're in a cortisol response due to suppressed emotions, when you now step out of your comfort zone to trust a man, boom, all those past emotions are going to come up. You're going to go into a cortisol response. And when you have a cortisol response, blood flow stops to the reasonable part of the brain. You're reacting as if you're being chased by a tiger. That's it. You're being chased by a tiger. Your life's in danger. So when you look at a man like, oh my God, danger is in front of me, it's a total shutdown. He will shut down just like that, and he will fulfill your fear. He can't love you when you're not trusting him. Just as women, you can't love a man, you can't trust a man if he doesn't demonstrate through his actions that he prioritizes you and cares about you. If I show to you, this is how love is reciprocal in Mars and Venus. If I demonstrate in my marriage how much I care about my wife by prioritizing her, by being monogamous, by making her important, special, all the good things I teach men to do. When I demonstrate my love through action, saying, I am caring of you, I care about you, I care for you, she has to trust me. She has to trust me. However, there's a limitation to that. If she is not willing to take responsibility for I'm pushing him away, there's nothing more I can do. Whereas for a woman, you can change a man. The only way that you can't bring out the best in a man is when he is fixated on an addiction. You can't change a man who is addicted because he's already having sex in his mind. He's addicted to something else to produce his dopamine and not you. So this is the limitation of men, is when they have addictions. And that limitation is increased the more serious the addiction is. Oh, the Kindle version of the new book is available on Amazon today, globally. Everybody go to Amazon.com. Look for Men Are From Mars, Women From Venus, for women only. For Kindle, go to Kindle. It took a while for me to find it because there's so many Men Are From Mars books. And there's even a book on there called Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, Modern Version Workbook. I didn't even write it, and I don't recommend it. It's not my idea. It's just chat. They just said, being the voice of John Gray, write a whole book is what it looks like to me. But I certainly don't recommend that book. And nobody's buying it anyway, so I'm not going to go create a lawsuit or whatever. But ironically, you can't really copyright a book title, although most of the booksellers won't sell a book by a fake author. But legally, there's no control that I have. So we got to chapter 1 here, and somebody said, woohoo, thank you so much. And Mindy, thanks for joining me. Will your new book be on Audible? Not yet, but we're working in that direction. But right now it is in Kindle, and we're working on it. But right now it's not, and it's an easy read. I'm reading here right from my chapter, which is chapter 1, Be Happy With or Without a Man. I'm going to go through just some of the highlights of this chapter. When you're unhappy with your partner, you're usually depending on them too much. That is a profound concept. First concept in the book. Anytime you're unhappy with your partner, you're depending on them for something that you need to look to yourself for. And when it came to the woman, we were just talking about starting over, and I'm going to go out into the world. This book gives you the foundation for that. But I also have another book, which is called Mars, Venus, Starting Over, because it really focuses on why you left your other husband. You've been alone for 13 years. There's a lot of healing that needs to take place, because if you haven't healed the wounds of a marriage, even though you might think, okay, I've adjusted, everything's okay, but you haven't gotten involved with another man afterwards, it means there's mistrust inside. And not only is there mistrust of men, but there's also mistrust of yourself, because when you marry somebody, you trust yourself. I'm marrying the right guy. This is going to last. It's going to be. What went wrong? And without a real understanding of how men and women are different, which my book explains, you can't know what went wrong. You really can't. All you can know is how he sabotaged the marriage, how he closed your heart, how he hurt your feelings, how he wasn't there for you. And you think, and I was there for him. And what you don't know is you weren't there for him. Because if you'd been there for him and you knew the skills that I have, it wouldn't have turned out the way it had. I can't say that every marriage, if you have these skills, are going to last. Because sometimes people marry the wrong person, who on a spiritual level is the right person to help you heal some wounds inside. And a book I have in this series, I talk about 3 stages of relationship for people. An example of that would be, oh my goodness, it's already 12:12. I'm talking about another book. And I only got to the first page of this book. There's so many good things in this book. But what I was about to say, we'll finish up soon, is 3 stages. And if you have a dysfunctional childhood to various degrees, let's say the classic is your father's an alcoholic and therefore he's unavailable to give to you what you need as a child, unavailable to give your mother what she needs. So there's a scarcity of real love for you to let it in and feel safe. There's no safety. So your tendency in your first serious relationship often is to be very much attracted to somebody who's an alcoholic. So you could relive those feelings of insecurity and realize that now I'm safe. I can say no to that. So part of for wounded people from their childhood is be able to say no to the wrong person. Even though you might love them, they're the wrong person. So how to end a relationship. Then if you do the healing of that, and part of the healing is to process your feelings so that when somebody mistreats you, you can still wish them well, you can love them, and you can realize that they're just not right for you, and that you don't deserve to have somebody be an alcoholic and treat you that way. So you're moving on. I tell you, I've counseled so many women who've been in abusive relationships who won't move on because they love their partner. So until I can get them to realize, to heal the wound with their father, it's not with this guy, it's with their father. And that's where they're glued on, is they have to feel I can win my father's love. And that's a big lesson, which is your father can't love you. You have to wish him well. I forgive you. And it's not my fault that you don't love me. So when you forgive, you realize it's not all my fault. You can see you're part of it. Well, that's really the next stage. So next time if you heal from that relationship, then you'll be attracted to a man who has the potential to be an alcoholic. And that is basically where you see that they'll go towards alcohol if you treat them a certain way. And if you treat them another way, they don't drink. So you can drive a man to drink. And that's where Mars Venus ideas are so important, is to see how you as a woman can bring out the best in a man, or you can bring out the worst in them. And that doesn't mean a man can't bring out the worst in you too. Without a doubt, men do it all the time. The biggest power men have is to make things worse for you. Okay, so that's their real power. But they can do things, but you have to recognize it's your vulnerability that can open up the love in his heart and help heal him as you become healed. And that's a lot that went on in my relationship with Bonnie. In my first marriage, I just married the wrong woman. And I learned a lot of lessons. We ended up getting a divorce. She fell in love with another man. I felt devastated, rejected. I healed my heart. I forgave her. I wish her well. She's a friend of mine, but she was the wrong person. Then I moved on to Bonnie, who's my soulmate. And I wanted to marry Bonnie before I married my first wife. But Bonnie said, "You're not ready." And she was right. I had to learn some lessons. Then I came back to Bonnie after my divorce and share with her how I learned, how I've grown, and we got married. And so Bonnie was a woman who I had the potential to bring out the best in her. I had the potential to bring out the worst in her. And what I learned is, as she gave me this amazing love, it brought out the best in me. And then I learned how the best of me can also bring out the best in her. And that was how I developed the ideas of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, what I'd learned and sharing all that. And you might be thinking, women, well, how does my husband learn this stuff? Give him Men Are From Mars after you've practiced this book for a while. Men Are From Mars teaches men everything they need to know. If a man reads this book with you, he'll know more. But you don't have to have him read this book for you to experience amazing transformation in relationship, so that he will read with you Men Are From Mars. And he'll read with you another book I have called Beyond Mars and Venus, which explains men's hormones, women's hormones, how we interact. This book is particularly with skills and insights to help women bring out the best in a man and use that. But in order to ask a man for support, you also, when you're mad at him, you can't ask him for support. You have to process your feelings. And so in there, I have a whole chapter on how you process your feelings. First, it all explains why you need to get to the place, understanding men. Then you start to realize that I'm a big part of the problem. You can't change problems until you realize you're a big part of the problem. And you have no idea that you're a big part of the problem. Sure, go right on screen. My producer, Ken's going to come on the screen with me. He probably has something to share. What do you want to say?
I'm not dressed for it. but but hey, I wanted to real quick, John, people are asking if the book is available in hardcover. It's available in hardcover and paperback. It was a last minute push on Friday, and then we had a national holiday. So you can find all 3 versions on Amazon. But today, during the launch, I want everybody to realize that the book is at a very, very special price. You've set it $2.99 for the Kindle version of this new book, and it is a fantastic book. You should go grab the Kindle version right now for $2.99. And then in a couple of days, everything will end up propagating on Amazon, and all 3 versions will be together in one spot. Right now, they're a little disconnected as Amazon pulls their stuff together. But I just wanted to let you know that it is available in paperback and hardcover, and you just have to look for it on Amazon. There's no photo of the book for the paperback or hardback yet, but it will be there. Go get the Kindle today, though.
Hey, Ken, thanks so much. And
Yeah.
people, it will also be in, once we get to the top of the list on Amazon for a while, then it will get, the bookstores will order it, and it will get around the world.
Yeah.
Because I'm the publisher of this, so the bookstores are not going to order it unless they know about it, and they'll know about it by when it gets to the top of Amazon's list. So I need your help to get it there. I appreciate that. And I'm moving on to the. I was just gonna the first page. Okay, one of the ideas: when you're unhappy with your partner, you're usually depending on them too much, or you're depending on them for what men can't give to you. See, women sort of think, well, if you don't understand how different men are, you don't know what a man can give and what he can't give. And so you're always going to be dissatisfied because you're going to be comparing to the needs you need from another woman, or the needs to love yourself. For example, if you're not loving yourself, he can't do anything. You have to be receptive to letting his love in. And when you're angry, you're not loving yourself. Okay, you think you are, but you're not. When you're loving yourself, you feel at ease and comfortable, and you know what you deserve and you can have, and you're not mad. Often people go, I'm mad, I deserve. I say, okay, that's good to say I deserve, but until you let go of the anger, you're not really feeling your worthiness. And it's when you're open to receive, that's when a man can give you the most. And that's how you ask a man for support. There's so many great tools and techniques that we've just touched on Thursday. This is Tuesday. On Thursday on my Facebook Live and also YouTube Live, I'll be going into more on chapter 1, probably get to chapter 2. Another title in another section, and this is True Happiness Begins With You, which is preparing yourself so that a man can make you happier. In a previous generation, you didn't need this. All you needed to feel love was to have a man provide for you finances and provide for you protection. But when you don't feel your need for protection, because we live in a society, there's police. When there's police around, you don't feel you're as vulnerable. And so when you don't feel as vulnerable, you cannot love a man unless you get in touch with other emotional needs that you have. So here I go into applying some of the ideas of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that we are living in a civilized society today where many of your needs are already provided by the government, the police, the firemen, the neighborhood. So we're not like in a dangerous society. You can't feel vulnerable as much as you could in a dangerous society. That's what brought out men. That's what made men heroes. That's what brought out the best in men. That's what raised testosterone in men. Men today are so wimpy. Not all, but your average 25-year-old has 20% less testosterone than just 20 years ago. When you compare our testosterone levels in men to like 100 years ago, we're all wimps. These are like tough guys. We used to have that power, and we're just losing it today. So, and the big part of this is that we don't grow up in a world where we saw our mothers really needing a man for something that was meaningful and significant. Because if you're living in a fearful world, then a man comes and he'll protect you. You love him a lot. You can see this in all the movies where there's great romance and excitement. It's always a woman in trouble, a woman in danger, and a man comes along and saves the day. He becomes the hero. This makes him committed to her. He bonds to her. He produces the bonding hormone, prolactin. She produces huge amounts of oxytocin. Her ability to feel aroused and turned on and romance is dramatic. And the key to this is continuing in a world that's relatively safe, although there's danger and whatever, nothing like in the past, okay? So when you're not feeling that need, then when a man does something for you, you can't feel this huge love. So what we have to do for women today is experience, an awareness of another part of you that, yeah, you don't need a man as much for survival and security. But what you need a man for is for romantic support, emotional support. And this emotional support does not look like another girlfriend. Whenever I say that, women go, yes, he has no emotional intelligence. I said, that's for girls. I mean, there's a different kind of emotional intelligence men need. It's to respect your emotions, to understand your emotions, to be there for you, to not look to you to hear his emotions. If a man is angry, suck it up. Don't talk about it. Go off and use your emotional intelligence to process it without her. But when a man can hear a woman, learning how to hear a woman without getting defensive, massive skill, massive skill. And it doesn't happen overnight, nor does he need a man to teach him. If his father could do it, he would have automatically learned. All he needs is for a woman to do the skills in this book. And you will apply those skills, learning how to communicate what your feelings are. And in the beginning, you learn how to experience and feel the need you have to process the suppressed emotions that you carry around all the time. See, women don't realize it. People don't know when they're suppressing emotion. It's so automatic. But if you're in the workplace and you're afraid, you can't talk to other people about your fears. You'll be seen as weak and kicked out and lose money. It's not appropriate. So those feelings don't even hit in your conscious mind quite often. Sometimes they do. Research shows that for women under moderate stress, there's 3 times more blood flow that goes to the emotional part of the brain. Not so with a man. You're pushing that down all the time. And imagine a stressful day where 10 bad things happen. You come home, you're suppressing all those emotions. Psychology, one good thing about psychology, it tells you this is called displacement. Those emotions, when you feel when you're with safe at home, those feelings are going to come out at your partner. You're going to overreact to them, or you're going to overreact to yourself, or you're going to overreact to your children. It all just bursts when you get home. You can be very responsible in the workplace, suppressing just like a man. He's not suppressing, he's just a man. But you're a woman in the workplace, putting on a male outfit, doing male jobs, you push it down. And when I say male jobs, I'm not any way implying a woman can't do them, shouldn't do them, whatever. But she has to learn, if she's going to do a job where she can't be free to express her emotions, then she needs to have a relationship at home where she can express those emotions and realize that she's going to overreact when she does it. And sometimes she's going to have so much stuff that it activates her childhood issues. And that's where she needs to learn the feeling letter exercise, all these tools that I have in this book. And what you'll find out in one of the chapters on how to process your feelings when you're upset with your partner, because you can't ask for help. All you can do is complain. That will never work. So what you have to do is be able to release the emotional tension, the stress, come back to balance, and then you ask and you'll get. But how do you do that? It's a journaling exercise, which I guide you through in this book, how you can lower your stress on your own without having a conversation with a therapist or your husband. If you can afford a therapist, that's good. But you can do it on your own. And because I know I've taught this for 35 years, this feeling letter exercise, so many women don't do it. Rather, what they'll do is they'll just go eat, or they'll go and complain, which feels good, but it doesn't heal anything. It doesn't bring you back to love. So it'll bring you back to loving food, loving sugar and treats and whatever, or loving complaining and whatever, being a victim, all of that stuff that some women go to. You can avoid it all by learning how to process your emotions, your suppressed emotions. And because I know that people, when they do it in therapy, they do it in my workshops, but at home, they'd rather go eat. I made it really easy, and I created an app. It's called Mars Venus Heart Space app. But to use the app, you need to read how to use it in my book. If you want to go get the app now, you can. It's on Amazon. It's on iPhone. And at the beginning of February, it will come on the other Android. But if you're going to use it right now, which is if you're stressed anytime, it will lower your stress. Make sure you go to the settings, to the part that says how to use the app. You need to understand it's a whole way of how to process your emotions. And the explanation is there from my book. Or just get the book, get the explanation. You can do it on your own, or the app will ask you 5 questions and then do the whole process for you, and you just read it out. It's amazing, amazing gift to make it easier for women to process their emotions, because it's so simple to do. Anyway, we got a little bit into the first chapter here. Ideally, a man's role is not to make you happy, but to make you happier. And that's where you approach a man from that point of view. he will kneel to you. You know, when you don't blame a man for your unhappiness, you appreciate him for what he does provide. If you're blaming him for something, your brain can't, you literally, blood flow cannot go to the part of your brain which can love him. When you blame him, you feel you love him in your limbic part of your brain, but you need to have the prefrontal cortex part of the brain, which basically is optimistic and trusting. So you can feel love. This is paradoxical for women. They can love a man but not trust him. But what you have to know is that your love for a man, if you don't trust him, is poison. It's confusing. It doesn't touch his heart at all. As I talked about in Men Are From Mars, and I also explore it in this book, to raise a man's testosterone so he can open his heart, you have to give messages that he's trusted, not to be perfect, but he's trusted, that he's on your side. You know, you're not closed to him. You're open to him to receive his support. It's not like, oh, like that. And women don't realize this. When you don't understand men, you will mistrust them all the time. If you don't understand, a man naturally shuts down whenever he's stressed. He shuts down. He has no feeling. His mirror neurons shut down. This is biology. If I have a stress response, my mirror neurons close down. I can't feel in that moment unless I become more stressed and then it's negative emotions. But for a man to, just a little thing can cause him to temporarily shut down. And for a woman, for her to shut down like that, it has to be a big problem. It has to be years of feeling abused. Finally, she's going to say, all right, I'm shut down. I don't feel anything for you. I'm leaving. So when he shuts down, she thinks he's that upset with you. So he could let it go in 3 minutes sometime. And if he talks, it will take 30 minutes. It could take all night if he talks about what he's feeling. And of course, women, you don't know this. So he shuts down. You go, what are you feeling? Let's get you to talk. Because if a woman is unhappy, if she talks, she'll be happier. She said, oh, Melinda says it works. I'm so grateful for the app. Yeah, Yahoo. I'll tell my producer, Ken, I had the first person in Saudi Arabia who used the app, and she did a little testimonial for us. Melinda, if you can, if you're willing to do a little testimonial on the app, because I want to create a little infomercial of people using the app and what they got from it. You don't have to, but if you're and motivated and inclined to talk about how you felt and how it was helpful to you. One of the things that women will say after they use the app is at the very end, based upon the challenges you're facing, because you're talking into the program and it processes your feelings according to the algorithm that I developed over 40 years. Then what happened is at the end, ChatGPT comes along, takes that information and writes a poem for you. It's a very, very heartfelt poem. It makes you cry because it's about you. It's about the things that you're going through, giving you the encouraging support that I've already done in the app. It identifies what stress pattern you're in, and based upon that, it gets a reassuring message from me. It gives 13 potential affirmations. You pick one. It gives you a commentary on that affirmation. It then gives you a critique on what your stress responses are. It does all this stuff for you. And it's amazing. If you go to, I do it all the time, even if a little thing upsets me, because I like to get the feedback on what's going on deep inside. You know, one of the most famous psychologists of the last century was Jung. And Jung said the whole purpose of therapy and personal growth is to make the unconscious conscious. And that's what this software does. People, if you ask them, okay, what's the matter? What are you bothered? What is it you like? What do you don't like? What are you concerned about? They'll be very superficial and they'll use mental language. Thank you, Melinda. Look forward to that. And you can send it to a note saying you want to do the infomercial, do the testimonial, and then we will contact you so you can go ahead and send it to us. That would be fantastic. We just have to know to contact you. If you contact us at MarsVenus /contact, or at the bottom of the page, it says contact. That would be delightful. So, why don't you just come on right now and give me your address?
So yeah, anybody. So also, I think it's important that we mention anybody that goes and buys a copy, a hardback copy of the new book. We're going to be doing some. I haven't talked to John about this yet, but maybe I can convince him to sign a couple of books to send out to people that we enter into a pool. But we need some video testimonials of people holding the new book and talking about what it did for them. But we need that. But my email address, if you want to reach out to me, I can help facilitate all of this. Just email Ken at kenwalls.com, KEN WALLS is my name. So just Ken at kenwalls.com, and I will help facilitate all of this and communicate with you to get your video testimonials. And we will show them on the shows.
Yeah. This is what we're going to do is, Ken, would you put your email address right on the screen so people who
Yeah, I'll do that.
Right there. He'll do that in a minute. But what we'll do is, if you want to do that testimonial, hold the book. In this case, you can hold the app if you're doing one for the app. But Ken will set up a Zoom call with you, and he'll ask you the question, and then you can just give a little testimonial, and then we'll put it on our show. We'll put it on our feed to encourage everybody. You know, part of how Men Are From Mars became so worldwide famous was it was 6 years #1 best-selling book in the world, and it continued being bestseller everywhere. I don't know if I mentioned, I was just in Saudi Arabia for 35 years. It's been #1 or 2 in the bestseller list. They love the book. But what he'll do, what I did back in that day, back in the 90s, many of you probably saw me then, but I had an infomercial where I just gave my best information over and over on the infomercial, and people did testimonials. And it was the testimonials that allowed people to go, wow, I relate to that. That was helpful. All you have to do is
I'm going to show this video real fast of the lady in Saudi Arabia, if that's all right, John.
Oh, that sounds great. Let's see it. It's amazing. All right. So yeah, we'll set it up. So we'll do a Zoom call, and then we'll record it for you, so you don't have to do it yourself, or you can do it yourself and send it into Ken. So we're finishing up on the first 2 pages of Men Are From Mars for Women Only. Ideally, a man's role is not to make you happy, but to make you happier. And when you have that awareness, then you're taking 100% responsibility for how you're contributing to him. And that will always make him give you more. Because if you can see that it's not all his fault, then you can see what he does do right, that you can appreciate it. One of the stress responses that our brain goes through is whenever you're producing a stress hormone, your brain flips. And instead of going, yeah, he does, he has this problem, but look at all these good things he provides. That's called balance. If you're in a stress response, your brain does the opposite. It says, yeah, he does good things, but he doesn't do this and this and this, and your heart closes. So you want to reverse that, and you reverse that by doing things that will increase your estrogen. And one of the things that increases estrogen very powerfully is, first of all, you have the intention that I'm going to let go of my blame and find forgiveness. You have to have that intention. That has to be a value system that you have. You know, it's my North Star is whenever I'm upset with my wife or anybody, my intention is to find my heart center and have forgiveness. And I understand forgiveness does not mean that, you're going to let somebody walk over you again or whatever, but it means that you're not going to hold resentment against them. You want to let go of resentment and say, how can I solve this problem? How am I a part of it? How can I communicate to get what I want and make things better? And often that's the hitch, is when you don't understand men, what you do to communicate to get things better only makes it worse, because you're trying to change him. Anything you do to change a man, he will resist. Instead, if you ask for help, let's say here's bad communication and good communication. My husband, he comes home late for dinner, and you'd like him to call. So when he comes home late, you're upset with him, and you say, and you've learned in psychology class to say, when you don't call and you come home late, it hurts my feelings. It makes me feel like you don't love me. And what I would like is for you to call me if you're going to be late. So it's when X, I feel Y, and what I want. And that makes perfect sense if you're talking to somebody you're not married to or having sex with. But once you're connected, when you say to a man, you hurt me, he's shut down completely. If it's some friend or whatever, I can hear that, no problem. But if it's somebody I'm romantically connected to, there's no wall of protection against the worst thing you can say to a man is, I feel hurt that you don't love me, when the reality is he does love you. So it makes no sense to him. It shuts him down. So if you want him to call you, if he's going to be late, how do you do that? Well, you don't tell him how you feel. What you tell him is, when you don't call, I would prefer that, I make dinner and everything. It would help me. It would help me if you give me a call so I can plan things. It's not that you're going to challenge whether he loves you or not and you feel hurt by that. This is behaving like a child. And psychology makes women into infants, telling them everything hurts your feelings. It's the only way you can communicate. I want you to change. Lillian, thank you so much. She just ordered the hardcover copy. You have one before me. I'm so excited for that. And okay, now Ken's going to come on with a video of a woman in Saudi Arabia who, at the class that night, she went home and ordered the HeartSpace app and asked her to do a testimonial.
Hello. So I wanted to talk about the app, Mars Venus HeartSpace. I tried it last night, and honestly, it deserves all the love. It takes you kindly through a journey to understand your emotions better, through different situations, and it even wakes you up on some things you didn't know that you were feeling. It actually shows you what you're feeling in such a calm way, and it's such a safe place to open up and to connect.
Okay, it looks like it got cut off. I don't know why it got cut off. Okay. Oh, it's a longer one. We have to write to her and ask for the whole video. Somehow it got cut off because what she says is it brings you to this safe place, and then at the point when you get to the place of the point, it's all about you, and it touches you, and tears come to your eyes. It's so sweet when she says it, and that's the whole point of psychology at its best. What Jung talked about is how to make the unconscious conscious. Kaylor, thank you so much for ordering the hardcover too. You've been such a fan and so supportive to all my videos. I so much appreciate it. And hopefully we'll do an interview with you as well on the book, so we can put that on our show. People benefiting from the book, because that's what really inspires people and motivates people to see change. I'm asked all the time when I do interviews with the press and various podcasts, do you have any hope for people? Because we've gone so far out of balance. Our society has become so dysfunctional, and family life is broken down. Children have so many problems today. I wrote a whole book on those problems called The Boy Crisis. Boys are really having problems. Girls are too. It's just not as obvious, because for boys, the crisis is inability to follow through. They procrastinate. They don't launch. The failure to launch for boys, to make money, to have a career, to fall in love, to commit, to be in a committed relationship, that is backing up. It's all a symptom of also the low testosterone in males, which will be stimulated once we learn how to support males in being their best self. So that's the boy crisis. The girl crisis, I haven't written that book, but that's what this book is, which is how women can overcome the crisis, understand the challenges that women are facing today, and learning how to use a man to bring you to higher levels. But the girl crisis really is just the amount of anxiety, the amount of confusion, the amount of unhappiness and depression that girls are experiencing. On a performance level, they're exceeding. 2 women to 1 male graduates from college. 20 years ago, women were not making as much for the same job as a man. But now, if you're college educated and you're single, you make 30% more than every man for the same job. Women are killing it when it comes to business success and entrepreneurial success, but they're taking antidepressants. They can't sleep at night. They're taking medicines. They're unable to have a relationship with a man. They're unable to feel that any man is good enough for them. Now, what that means, not that men aren't good enough for you, it's that you're not turned on to men. It's amazing. When your estrogen levels go up, suddenly men are good enough. When estrogen levels don't go high, and a man's not stimulating your estrogen to go high because you don't know how to use him to raise your estrogen, you can't get turned on to him. This is a challenge for women in their 40s, particularly. Usually they're divorced and they're in their 40s. Already your estrogen levels are dropping if you don't have the skills to use a man to raise your estrogen. So you're dating men, and what you find is they just don't turn you on. There's no spark. They're nice, they're good, but no spark. In some cases, for some women, they're out there with they do experience a temporary spark for some women with a one night stand with a dangerous man or a needy man. It gives them a sense of power, but it doesn't last at all. And there's an emptiness that will always follow it. And we're saying here, thank you all for watching and sharing. Ken's letting me know that we're closing. We're getting to the end of the talk today. Thank you for purchasing the new book. It's really exciting for me. Thank you for sharing this with other people. We certainly look forward to your testimonials. We'll put them on the show. And also, if you do a testimonial for the book, which will be good, but in some cases, if you have a question, you can ask it in the video, and I'll dedicate the whole show or parts of the show to answering that question. Because this book doesn't answer all your questions. It answers a lot. And when you make the steps, so many steps to already experience greater happiness and fulfillment in your life and your relationships. But there's 6 books in this series. This is the first for women only. The second one is Why Men Fall in Love and Stay in Love. The third one is How to Talk So a Man Will Listen. The fourth one is What to Do or Not Do When Men Pull Away. The fifth one is for women over 40, where I go into all the biohacking of your hormones, both in relationship and with nutritional support and so forth. And then the sixth one is for strong, independent women. When women start making more money than men, that's a whole nother dynamic. Now, I cover all those dynamics in a small amount in this book, but to really go into the full understanding, because so much of this is based upon understanding how men and women are different. Otherwise, you won't do the techniques. Otherwise, they won't work for you. You have to have a clear understanding. For example, when a man goes to his cave, if he comes out smiling and you don't understand that men process things much faster than women and they do it quietly, if he comes out of his cave and you're looking at him like, oh, he hasn't talked about his feelings, so he's still mad at me, that will make him mad at you. He goes back into the cave to forget the problem, to feel better. Everything's fine. He comes out of the cave. Now you're looking at him like he's a dangerous person. He hasn't resolved his feelings. He could jump at you at any moment. Mistrust is the biggest stimulator of stress in a man who loves you, and that'll push him back into the cave. And so this is what happens in relationships. One simple example of how men and women lose each other in the process of being married, opening their hearts to each other until it's too painful. We close our hearts. We lose the sexual attraction. The passion is lost. We start accommodating ourselves. Relationship becomes like walking on a minefield, protecting yourself. You can't thrive in love. And this book will give women the wisdom and understanding to recognize that so much of what they're worried about, so much of what they think is a problem is not a problem. And I talked earlier about those 3 stages. One is you're in a dysfunctional relationship and you leave it, or you learn how to be more functional yourself and you find you move to the second stage, and that your partner, by you making changes, your partner changes. And when you realize you have the power to bring out the worst of them, every woman should know that, and you have the power to bring out the best of them. How are you unknowingly bringing out the worst, and how can you knowingly bring out the best? When that stage is accomplished, then you start realizing that this partner who has the potential to be the alcoholic or not to be the alcoholic, then he will drink. He may still drink, but you realize that it's not a problem, because in this third stage of relationship, when you have a good relationship, there'll be moments where you think everything is worse than it is, because that's what happens when your hormones go out of balance. One of the most amazing concepts is that in the past, you needed a danger to stimulate your fight or flight response inside your brain. It's also not always fight or flight for women. It's also fake and fold. You pretend like everything's okay when it's not, or you just give in and submit yourself and be totally codependent and make his needs more important than yours. Those are all stress responses for women as well. I go into all that in this book. But what happens is in the third stage of a relationship, if you go, there's no problem. Everything is no big deal, everything's all right. You don't worry so much. You don't shut down. You have lasting passion. But if you're a woman and you go too far to your male side, your hormones go out of balance. So when your hormones go out of balance and testosterone's high and estrogen low, your brain recognizes that and interprets that to mean that a lion is chasing you, even though a lion isn't chasing you. It's just that your hormones are out of balance. So you will have this cortisol response, and your brain will respond as if you're in danger when you're not in danger. And this is a cortisol response. It makes all your negative emotions in a good relationship totally irrational. But you're going to have them. So you have to know how to process them. You have to be able to communicate to your partner and just say, I'm being triggered right now. It's not your fault, but I need you to understand what's going on inside of me. If you say to a man, I'm being triggered, it's not your fault, these are my irrational feelings, he'll sit there and bow to you and say, thank you for being thank you for being accountable. Thank you for not putting it all on me. And he'll be able to give you the compassion and love that you deserve. But when you take an irrational response, they're being chased by a dragon. When you're not being chased by a dragon, and you say, he's the dragon, he has to defend, he shuts down until he can process it and let it go and feel his love again. It just slows everything down. So you have the power, women, when you have the wisdom. And I'll close the show today with something I learned when I was studying Tibetan Buddhism. And that culture in Tibet, they have the value of pure masculinity, the value of pure femininity. A lot of their pictures of gods and whatever is always the man and the woman making love, because that's a union. It's symbolic of the union of the masculine and feminine. And then we have the spirit. Our spirit is both masculine and feminine, but we divide into our bodies and find wholeness through connecting and through falling in love with each other. And what they talk about is the highest virtue of femininity and the highest virtue of masculinity. And at first it took me back, and then it realized the wisdom of it. But the virtue of masculinity is compassion, selflessness, helping others. And of course, that's what the Dalai Lama is always talking about, which is compassion, compassion, compassion. When you have compassion for others. And in my book, I show you all the pathways in the brain that happen when a woman is vulnerable, opening the mirror neurons, activating his limbic system, his prefrontal cortex, and an action center in the back part of his brain where he wants to serve her, where he will, if you make him your hero, he will activate those centers and die for you if necessary. So that is the wisdom, the highest virtue of masculinity, which only emerges through a woman and then emerges through having children. Otherwise men will never achieve their highest level. And it's through understanding women and giving to them, if a woman is open and receptive and can open the door for him to come in. So, and from women, what is the highest virtue for women? It's not compassion. See, women, Mama Bear has no compassion if you mess with my children. But Mama Bear, the highest virtue for females is wisdom. And that is the wisdom to recognize how you are the source of life. Okay, you create your life. Now, I have a female side, so I also know that I create my life, but I have to take action. And a woman, her greatest wisdom is to recognize I don't have to take action. I have to be authentic, and I will attract. It's the power to attract support. And from that support, you receive what you need, and then you give unconditionally. And that's wisdom. You should not give unless you receive first. And the problem for women who don't have access to their feminine wisdom is they give in order to get, rather than learn how to ask and be receptive and be a magnet to draw in support so that they receive that support and now they can give back unconditionally. And that's the wisdom of femininity. Receive first, then give unconditionally. For men, it's to give unconditionally. And that's the epitome of compassion. Compassion says, you have a problem, I'm going to give to you, and if you don't pay me. That's the highest level. We have a lower level, which is I'm not going to work unless you pay me. But when your heart opens, then you get to experience your divine masculine energy, which wants to be supportive of the feminine through helping the feminine. And the feminine, the power comes when you don't try to do everything yourself, but you let others do for you. And in simple terms, real empowerment of women versus empowerment of men. Women think they're empowered when they can do more. The empowered woman, I can do everything. Then you don't sleep at night. Okay, I got it. The empowered woman is able to attract support, and empowered man is able to give support successfully. So with these ideas, let them change your life, and everyone listening, I just hope that this book changes your life and you can get this book and you can share it. And we can bring this out to the world, just like we brought Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus out to the world. Helps so many people. And today we need to add on to that information, new skills for a new world where women need help from men to come back to their female side. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day.
Thank you for watching Q&A with Dr. Gray. Please share this out with all of your friends and family across all social media platforms. And be sure to tune in every Tuesday at 11 a.m. PST and 2 p.m. EST.